Welcome back, YouTube. Here we are with the Gallardo today with another, what should be relatively quick and simple video, doing a little product review. What I'm going to install today is a sprint booster. So lots of videos all over YouTube about the sprint booster system, lots of reviews. I'm far from the first to do this, but since I went ahead and purchased it, everyone I have talked to or seen absolutely swears by it. I'm going to go ahead and do a review on it myself and an install. And yeah, hopefully it'll be a great improvement. So what these are for is Sprint Boosters claims they make them for most drive-by-wire systems, which means it's essentially electronic signal from your throttle to the throttle bodies themselves. It's not the old school technology. There is no direct wire, cable, or connection from your throttle to the throttle bodies, carburetor, whatever you're running, like old school technology would be. So what this essentially does is speeds that signal up greatly, or allows you to have control over the speed of that connection. Some vehicles may benefit from this far greater than others. The Gallardo in particular has an extreme delay, if you ask me, from the throttle till the time the thing opens up and kicks in, and you can definitely feel it, especially under hard acceleration when you're driving this car. Some say the proper way to do that would be with tuning, pull the ECUs, get them tuned, and good tuning can change that. I'm certainly not arguing with that. However, this product is just under $300, and you are definitely not going to get the ECUs tuned in the Gallardo for $300. So this should be the quick, simple, affordable fix for the issue. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll show you what's in the box here. So when you get your sprint booster, this is what you will get. Box. Get your user's guide, which I strongly recommend reading through, understanding, learning the functions as you go through there. Pretty simple, relatively self-explanatory. A couple of the features I like about this as well is you actually have a pedal lock mode and a valet mode. Just get a quick install, quick start guide, read through that, zip tie, adhesive. So what you have here is this is your little control mechanism for the sprint booster itself. We'll get this mounted or hidden in the car somewhere if you don't want it somewhere where it's in sight. Take note there is a small selector on the side there for manual versus automatic transmission. Make sure you get that switched in the correct position. And the sprint booster itself, relatively simple looking, but this will plug in between the throttle and the factory connection there, right in between. And you'll see we have another small plug here where your controller will snap right in. So the hard part will be getting in the footwell of the Gallardo here because it's tight, and getting a light in there and trying to get good footage of exactly where this goes and how we clip it into place. Let's get started. So before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and plug the control box here into the sprint booster, since such tight working quarters down there in the car. It's easy to do this out here. You can hide around the wires wherever you want. Once it's up in the car, quick, simple, here, snap into place. Now we'll crawl under there, we'll get the factory connection unplugged, and we'll get this plugged in between. Sorry guys, I'll try to do this without making you dizzy. So I've crawled under here, pulled out the floor mat, I pulled the carpet back. Some of these are much more accessible than others. So as soon as I pull the carpet back, sorry guys, you can see that connection I need right here. I've already pulled it apart. You squeeze these two ears together right here, and this just unplugs. And then our sprint booster will plug right in between here. And then we can hide things and tuck it back where we need it, underneath the carpet. Get our control box mounted wherever I'm going to put that, and then we should be good to go. So here we are. Hopefully this isn't a completely impossible angle to film. I'll try and keep my arms out of here, see if I can do this one-handed. There is one end. click into place. There is too. So there is our assembly. So I'll get this tucked in here real nice. And we'll get this little guy mounted and we should be good to go. It's that simple. So there it is, all tucked back into place, right where the factory location was. You'd never guess anything was there by looking at it. Really the super quickest, simplest, and easiest thing I think I've ever installed. Literally took less than 2 minutes. I ran the wires kind of back there nice and clean so you can't see anything, and for now I've just tucked this right up in here so it's not permanently mounted to anything at this point. I know it's a good little spot for now. Maybe I'll relocate it at some point, but let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see what it does. So now that we got the ignition on, you guys, you'll see a little number on here. It's got some factory settings. You can turn it off completely by cycling through this. So nothing, that's our factory settings. Green, we go to sport mode. And then you can change the numbers between 1 and 9, scroll through there. Then you go to red, which is race mode. And again, you can play with it from there. So like I said, off is factory setting. Green is sport mode. It's supposed to increase throttle response up to 30%. Then we go to red, race mode. Somewhere right there in the middle. It's factory setting. And this will improve up to 60%. So let's take this thing out for a spin and play with it a little bit. So just playing with it here in the garage, I can already notice quite a bit of a difference just sitting here playing with it at idle. You can hear and feel the difference. I don't know how well the camera would pick up that difference, but here it is completely off. It's kind of in a short rev. You can kind of see the slow response there. Just jabbing the throttle a little bit. Put it into sport mode. Already significantly quicker response there. And then go to race mode. It's almost instantaneous. Alright guys, so here we are out here playing with this Sprint booster. Been dinking with it around here around town for a little bit, trying to play with it, find the sweet spot instead of wasting a bunch of your guys' time. Like I said, there's videos all over YouTube all about this thing. One of the things I noticed genuinely in all the videos, everybody that was out playing with this thing, once they put this thing in race mode, was the instant smiles, the genuine smiles you saw on everybody's face. So I've been playing with it. Obviously, like we said, there's a serious factory lag in stock mode, and it's kind of annoying, quite honestly. You put it into sport mode, there's definitely a noticeable increase. You can feel it, but race mode is definitely where it's at. Get it clearing here. I'm going to get out and get on it. That doesn't put a smile on your face. Nothing will. Factory setting is number 5 in sport mode, number 5 in race mode, and number 5 race mode seems to kind of be the sweet spot. I'm happy with that there. It's considerably harsher, much different. Takeoff is impressive. Horsepower-wise that we're doing to the car, but we're just improving what's already here, the way it should have been from the factory. And considerably less than ECU tuning. So anyway, if any of you guys are in the market, regardless of whether you're driving a Gallardo or not, fast car and a fun driving experience, even more exciting. Yeah, I know there's plenty faster cars out there on the market. This is just it's more about the driving experience, honestly. You hear a lot of people say that until you've driven one or done it. You don't really understand. But anyway, if you happen to have a Gallardo and you are in the market for a sprint booster, you know, reach out to Burtman. If you guys are into these cars, you're into the Lamborghini social media aspect of things at all, you've definitely heard that name. Check out Burtman Industries. So here we are about 3 months later after that portion of this video, guys. I wanted to put some real world time and mileage on the car this summer after I installed the Sprint booster and give you guys some real world feedback. If you follow my channel or have for any length of time, you know I'm not sponsored by anyone. Everything that I use, all the products you see me use in the videos, I purchase with my hard-earned money, just like most of the rest of you guys. So as you can see, I was obviously super pleased with the throttle response. I love the fact that I can play with and adjust it. For the most part, after roughly 800 miles that I've put on the car since we installed the Sprint booster, I've landed on red number 3 is kind of where I'm comfortable at for throttle response. It's definitely a huge difference. There's a little bit of a learning curve here on the Gallardo to get used to after driving it factory. So what I'll show you now was the one thing that didn't immediately jump out at me at first, but I've noticed since, like I said, I've been driving the car all summer. So at random, I noticed I started getting just these random throttle blips. Just lasts a split second, bump up 500 RPM or so from normal idle. Doesn't really affect drivability or anything like that, but the car wasn't doing it before. Did a little bit of online research. People were telling me clean the throttle bodies, different things. So I've tried all that. At this point, I've got to say I've narrowed it down to the Sprint booster. I can't say it's been a deal breaker, but it's a bit on the annoying side too. So I figured I'd go ahead and point it out to you guys. Other than that, the cars ran flawlessly. I'm still pleased with the Sprint booster. I would probably still install it nonetheless. But let me show you what it's randomly doing here. So we get the car fired up, let the RPM settle. Generally idles right around 1,000, 1,100 RPM, depending on how warm it gets here. And all of a sudden you'll get these random throttle blips for no reason. So there you go, right there. So it only does that with the Sprint booster installed. Once I disconnect it, fire it back up, it won't do that. And there you go, roughly 300 to 400 RPM spike there for a couple seconds, and then she levels back down. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'll snake myself back under there real quick. Like you said, you can see from the first part of the install here, I'll disconnect it real quick. We'll unplug the Sprint boosters, plug it back into the factory connection there. It takes literally less than 2 minutes. We'll run it for a good little while and I'll show you guys how it's not doing that anymore. So the car's been idling about 10 minutes now right here in the garage. As you can see in here, running nice and smooth, no random blips. And again, this is with the Sprint booster completely disconnected. It's just hooked up as factory. Again, here we are inside the car, idling as normal. No blips of the tach or the throttle. As you can see, we're idling right about 1,000 RPM with the Sprint booster disconnected. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully you guys find this a wholeheartedly honest review of the product, like I always try to give on everything that I've used on my channel here, whether it be the truck or the Lamborghini or whatever you see me working on. If that's the most major issue I have with the Sprint booster, so be it. It's relatively minor, but I wanted to let you guys know about it. It's something that popped up, like I said, over the course of the summer. Took me a little time to notice it. Wasn't doing it at first, and it's definitely not doing it without the Sprint booster installed. I've tried to, like I said, clean the throttle bodies, and after doing some internet research out there in some of the online forums, I'm certainly not the only one that's had that issue. There were several that pointed me in the direction on there in the chat forums that it probably was the Sprint booster. They've also had the issue caused with it. So, like I said, relatively minor for the price of the Sprint booster versus having the ECUs tuned, which may or may not happen in the future. We'll see. I still think it's worth the money. It's still been a solid performance upgrade for the price, but that little glitchy spike when you're sitting in traffic and idling, it definitely gets your attention. It's a little bit on the annoying side. So anyway, hope you guys will appreciate and like the review. Hopefully you like some of the content I'm putting out there. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Try and help me out. Got lots of big things in store for the Gallardo this winter. I'll try and do some videos of pretty much everything I do. So stay tuned. Thanks for the support. We'll see you on the next one.